Welcome to the Lord and Richards Show, a program that will enable you to become more financially independent and prosperous from a biblical point of view. Tune in each week to learn how to prosper through good markets and bad. Now, here's our co-hosts, Colin Richards, your biblical investment advisor, and Dylan Schoonover.
Hello, friends. Hello, Colin. Welcome into the Lord and Richards Show. We're very excited to have Colin Richards, CEO and founder of Lord and Richards, joining us today, talking about your estate plan. Colin, estate planning is often underutilized, I think, specifically in the investment space of financial advisors, but not at Lord and Richards. We have been dialing in the importance of a holistic plan throughout our segments when we talk on the radio and online, and I would say no different here. Tell me from a high level why estate planning is so important.
Well, let me start with that term estate planning, because that word estate, we instantly associate with death. Right, end of life. So it's a topic that we naturally avoid. Anything that's associated with our mortality, we don't want to spend time on, and I don't blame you. I want to focus on life. Your estate, if you think of it this way, it's just everything that you own. Right? It's your car, your house, if you have one, it's property, it's your accounts, that is your estate. And it doesn't need to be a conversation only about death. We can do some great planning that will affect you not just in death, but in life.
Yeah, sometimes people just don't want to address it. My mother included. I had to end up in probate, which we can talk about in a minute. That was no fun. But what goes into estate planning? Some people think, well, I've got a will, I'm good to go. But the will's just a start, really, right?
Right. So there's really two sides of it. There's the things that we can do in life that affect our life. And again, that emphasizes estate as not meaning death only. But then there's the things that we can do to prepare for when we're gone and what we leave behind to others. As we're already saying, you don't want to avoid this. It can have extreme consequences. It can result in your money or your property going where you don't want it to go, and it can affect other people's lives that you care about greatly.
Yeah, and I think that it can be one of the biggest mistakes that people make in their lifetime.
Yeah, because in estate planning, we also encompass tax planning that's related to your estate. And the biggest expense you're ever going to have in your life is tax. But unfortunately, a lot of people experience big expenses, or their heirs do, on what they leave behind in form of tax as well. So tax is hitting you while you're alive, and it can hit you after you're gone, hit your estate.
Yeah, so there's pros and cons. You know, some people like to say they control things from the grave if they've passed away and they've got certain things in their will or their trust of what they're going to leave to their kids or their grandkids if they don't like their kids, things like that.
Right. Well, you know, I like that expression, control from the grave. Now, it sounds like a kind of a creepy hand coming out of the grave. But the idea here is that you're actually controlling it from life. You're controlling the future in the present. And I don't always talk about grandkids, because for some people, their grandkids are, you know, little snotty-nosed brats that they don't want to leave anything to,
sure.
Right? So I talk in general about the family. I talk about the causes that are important to us, and whether it's leaving a legacy, or whether it's about, helping forward an organization that means a lot to you. So much better to have the conversation when you're able to take the time and be thoughtful, rather than to have things happen on autopilot that may or may not represent your wishes when you're no longer around, or when you're around but unable to express those wishes.
That makes a lot of sense. Walk us through what that looks like. We'll get into the details of an estate plan, but walk us through what the journey looks like with Lord and Richards in the estate planning category.
Well, just to kind of tease our listeners a little bit, we have actually developed a program where for the majority of those who come to us, we can provide a free estate plan.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it does sound good, because often that can amount to hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Now, there are maybe advanced situations where we're going to have to, incorporate more resources and potentially some costs. But I think it's a breath of fresh air to have a financial planner that partners in such a way that we can offer a very solid, comprehensive estate plan to the vast majority of people we're talking to, and do that without cost.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. And let's dive into that a little bit more. What is involved in that? What do you get? Do you get a will? Do you get probate coverage? Do you get a trust? Like what is inside of there? What is inside that statement?
Well, where this conversation comes into play is actually from the very beginning. When I sit down, or one of my colleagues sits down with you you. We go into depth about the people that matter most to you, that you want to make a difference in, when you've passed on, difference in their life, or again, the causes that are important to you. It's a little easier to do tax planning when you're giving to charity, because a charitable gift, automatically we have a deduction. But it takes a little bit more time and effort to give to people, both in life and when we pass on. So we're having that conversation all the way through. But after you become a client of Lord and Richards, you're going to have a specific conversation around your estate plan. And we're going to begin with those foundational documents that are key for all of us to have. And I will poll people in audiences or poll my clients when we gather our clients together every other month for an event. And I'll ask, well, what do you think the most important documents are? And you've already listed out a few.
Sure.
You have a will. You could potentially have trusts. But I tell people, actually, I think the most important documents are the documents that express control while you're still alive. I've joked a little bit that sometimes people fail to keep their plans current, and they could end up leaving everything to their ex-wife or ex-husband, right? And maybe that's not what they intended, right? And battles can ensue.
Sure.
But I think the most important documents are the ones that involve the control of your health and of your assets while you're still alive.
So the POA.
Yeah, so you said it, a power of attorney, so one for your health care as well as one for your finances. And along with that, any advanced directives around that health care. Do I want, special care to be exerted to preserve my life if I'm in these circumstances? And that is so important. This is one of the most loving things you can do. I've known people to go through this. I've personally gone through this, where we had a loved one who was kind of lingering near the brink. And the decision to make for that person as their loving caregiver is huge. Do we continue to sustain life if it's in our power to do so? Well, most of us, we're going to say, yes, I will continue to do that. But how much better, while we're healthy, while we're thoughtful, when we have the time to deliberate, to make that decision in advance and take that burden off the person that you care so much about, so they don't have to make that decision for you.
And it can happen quick. People don't understand, and I'm telling you this from experience, but you can be in a situation where someone's fine and very quickly they are no longer fine and able to cognitively be able to make that decision. And so it's something that you're like, well, that's down the road. That's down the road. Pretty soon the road is right in front of you and you're going to have to deal with it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we think of this, this is for elderly or when I'm at life expectancy. But the times when this is most difficult tend to be times that are far earlier than that. Maybe an accident or something has occurred where decisions have to be made. And making those decisions in advance is the most loving thing to do for your loved ones.
Yeah, super important. When we come back from the break, we're going to be talking about some of the things that you might see that are mistakes that have been made with an estate plan that maybe you got 20, 30 years ago, and take a look at how we can help solve those problems that are existing currently. We'll be back on the Lord and Richards Show.
Take the first step toward securing your financial future. Request an appointment today. Our team of experienced professionals at Lord and Richards is here to provide personalized guidance and strategies tailored to your unique needs. Visit us online at lordandrichards.com for your complimentary retirement freedom review. You're watching the Lord and Richards Show, a program that can help you become more financially independent. Tune in to learn how you could become prosperous during good times and bad.
Just pick up the phone and give us a call at 720-372-0400. That's 720-372-0400 for your complimentary retirement freedom review. Or check us out online at lordandrichards.com.
Welcome back to the Lord and Richards Show. Thank you so much for joining myself, Dylan Schoonover, and Colin Richards, our CEO and founder at Lord and Richards. It's a pleasure talking with you about estate planning. We kind of got the high-level overview in segment one, but we're going to dive into some things now. We could call them the hidden time bombs. A lot of times, people do something like they'll fill out a will or maybe a trust or maybe some legal documents of some kind with someone, whether on their own or with an actual attorney, say, when they have their first child or something. That's kind of a common place of where people start thinking about, okay, what's going to happen now? But then time goes by and more time goes by. And by the time they get to our desk or our table across from us, and our advisor's talking with him. Do you have this? Do you have that? Oh, yeah, well, we did once upon a time. What are some common things you're seeing that I referred to as hidden time bombs that could be an issue?
Well, the experience at Lord & Richards is probably going to be a lot different from your experience with a typical broker or financial representative, because we're all about the plan, and we're all about including every element of life that money touches in our planning. And one of the things I will ask my clients, in addition to saying, well, what do you want to have happen when you pass away? Where do you want those resources to go? I'll follow up and ask, do you have a current will? And the word current there is the operative word. Usually that means we have updated it within the last 2 or 3 years. Most people may have a will, but often it is out of date. We may be unintentionally including beneficiaries that we just as soon exclude, right? Or we may no longer have provisions that account for people that have come into our world that weren't even here. They were born after that will was originally created. So it is vitally important as part of your planning and ongoing relationship with Lord & Richards or any financial planner to keep those documents current.
Yeah, because kids, grow up, beneficiaries change or pass away.
Or tick you off.
And you're like, you're out. Marriages end. A lot of things can happen. I think this is an interesting topic for you to touch on, though, especially from your pastoral background. It's sad when people really start fighting over, end of life situations. From a biblical standpoint, how can you speak to that and how you kind of address that from your lens and your position as a pastor?
Well, not just the Bible, but just good, solid wisdom says that it is better to plan in advance, right? And so we have all kinds of wisdom in the Proverbs about, gathering and laying up and preparing for the future rather than letting the future arrive unexpectedly, such as an early death. Documents like wills are important, but unfortunately they have some weaknesses. Wills by themselves are designed to kind of pick up all the pieces when not enough planning has already been done. The best thing to do is to let the will be sitting out here at the end of the line for anything you forgot to deal with, and to plan on dealing with everything else through different legal and financial tools. For example, a will means that you're going to enter a process called probate. Probate, you can just kind of set aside any misconceptions. That's what we might call death court, okay?
Yep.
Now, you don't have to appear, you're gone, but your relatives or your beneficiaries have to go through this. And the process can be onerous in length. It can be 12 to 18 months.
Oh, yeah.
It can absorb a great deal of the resources that you'd actually like to go to people that you love, sometimes as much as 5 to 7% of that going to attorneys and other legal causes. It really, instead of being our primary plan, it should be that backup, what we might call a pour over. And what that will do is say, oops, I forgot some things, and it will point you back to better solutions for estate planning than just a will alone.
Makes a lot of sense. When people come into the office, you and the team have met with thousands of people at Lord & Richards. What percentage would you say are actually buttoned up in this area? Everything is working correctly, and what percentage are not where they need to be?
Well, I would say maybe 20% of people are sitting in pretty good shape.
Wow.
But I would say even lower numbers could probably still use some additional work. For example, a lot of times people have a trust. I just went through this situation with one of my relatives where they had a trust, but it wasn't what we call funded. That means that although they had this nice trust in place, it was what I call an I love you document. It's called a revocable living trust. It doesn't protect you from creditors. It doesn't take away taxes. It's simply a great organizational tool, one of several, that makes life easier on those you leave behind. It really helps. But if you don't title your assets properly with the trust owning those assets, then you can have a real problem. And then sometimes people go overboard and they may have a tax deferred account like an IRA, and they'll name the trust as beneficiary. It can't be the owner because that's an individual retirement account, but they'll name the trust as the beneficiary. wiping out the options of your spouse and others that are better options, and sometimes creating taxable events that need to happen. So sometimes it's not just having the documents, but it's how you own your assets underneath those titles. And that a lot of times has errors that we can fix for you.
Yeah. So 8 and 10 potentially come in without being, fully aligned to where they need to be in that estate planning realm.
That's probably a conservative estimate. Yeah.
Wow. That's just once again one of those things that you think that you would be taught sooner in life, and you're basically getting to your 50s or 60s and you're not where you need to be. And that's a little concerning because, health doesn't, always stay up to par, and things get a little bit, difficult sometimes. So it's good that Lord and Richards can be a solution for that. And so if people want to take advantage of this free opportunity, they contact Lord and Richards, they work with the team. How does that work?
Yeah, so you place a phone call to our gracious and wonderful team, and they'll get you set up with us, or you can go through the online portal that we have at lordandrichards.com and just simply indicate, hey, I understand you guys do some planning, and as part of that, you also offer the potential for a free estate plan. We can then begin our journey called a Retirement Freedom Review together. And in that journey, we will include comprehensive plans to deal with income, to make sure you never run out of money, to deal with market risk and investments, to deal with taxes and avoiding or mitigating the tax burden that you have, to deal with things like estate planning. And all of those work together in beautiful harmony when they're drawn together under a single roof. And that's what we do for you at Lord & Richards.
Yeah, and if changes occur while being a client of Lord & Richards, the team will help update it as things go?
Yeah, not just with your investments, but your estate plan. We actually have mechanisms to automatically update your estate plan if, let's say, you move to a new state.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because a lot of times people say, well, I moved, so my will must be invalid or my trust. We can actually automate that process. So as long as we know you're going to move, we can make sure those documents are up to date without you having to do any special visits or anything.
And when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about 5 estate planning must-haves to make sure they are set in your portfolio. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon on the Lord & Richards Show.
Just pick up the phone and give us a call at 720-372-0400. That's 720-372-0400 for your complimentary Retirement Freedom Review. Or check us out online at lordandrichards.com.
Welcome back to the Lord & Richards Show. I'm Dylan Schoonover, joined alongside CEO and founder Colin Richards. We're talking estate planning. We're talking about the must-haves inside of a estate plan, whether they need to be fixed or you've just never had one. Where to start? What do we got to do? What are some things we have to have inside that?
Yeah, so as part of your Retirement Freedom Review, Dylan, what we want to do is begin by looking at your assets and how they're titled. So whether we're talking about simple things like checking accounts or bigger things like your home or your investments. And one of the easiest ways to handle things from a death standpoint and transferring those assets effectively is to title things jointly. So if you're a husband and wife, for example, but you don't have to be, you can just simply put that other person's name on the account. And it greatly simplifies things. Most of us have been through the process of dealing with a loved one that's maybe going through a health crisis, and we need assets, but we can't get access to them because they're in their name and they can't be present. And so if that's not possible, of course, then we can branch out and start adding some additional documents that give you those powers as if you were able to jointly access. But when it comes to the actual transfer, I love joint ownership. I love transfer on death, things like vehicles, where you can just designate where it goes. This avoids, again, probate. It avoids most of the issues around people contesting your wishes because those instructions have been made clear from the very beginning.
Yeah, what about updating beneficiaries? Can you do that every day if you want? Can you call in the team, Lord & Richards, and just update it?
We'll hammer it out. We'll hammer it out. We'll have to get a signature usually from you, but yeah, we can, if you're just having a bad week and, you need to mark out this beneficiary and add in a new one or whatever. But if you fail to update your beneficiaries, just be aware that that's where the money's going to go. One of the great things is if you get your beneficiaries right, once again, from accounts like IRAs or things like life insurance or annuities, we can go right around that probate process and get the assets immediately where they're supposed to go, avoiding expense as well as excess time.
Yeah, that's something that's very important. And of course, I was just joking. Do not call the office every single day, please. Do not update your beneficiary every single day. We will be more than happy to update your beneficiary as needed, but please not every single day. Also, something very important would be healthcare and, basically how someone is doing at the end of life, making sure that power of attorney is in place would be a must-have, right?
Right. We've alluded to that in our previous segment, but having an advanced healthcare directive, having a durable healthcare power of attorney, having financial powers of attorney. So again, you have the freedom to act in your loved one's best interests, or if it's you we're talking about, your loved ones have the ability to do what they need to do that's in your best interest and will allow them to accomplish the goals that you've laid out in advance in writing.
Right. And of course, having a revocable living trust could be important.
Yeah, that's that I love you document. It's important to know that a revocable living trust has limited ability to protect you. So when we start getting into tax planning, when we start getting into real, what we would call estate planning, where we're trying to avoid leaving our money to the government, healthcare, nursing homes, those kinds of things, we might want to begin to look at an additional document called an irrevocable trust. These come by many different names. People give them names, but really there's just two kinds of trusts, a revocable and an irrevocable. A revocable trust, just like it sounds, is something that you can change. The asset is still part of your estate. So if you've got accounts that are titled, it's still going to be counted in your estate. An irrevocable trust is a special tool where you move the assets out of your estate, even out of your possession while living, for protection from creditors, for avoidance of the onerous death taxes, estate taxes, which can take in excess of half of everything you own, and avoiding that happening when you transfer assets, as well as other legal concerns. So an irrevocable trust, as its name indicates, cannot be changed. Once you put the money in as the grantor, you need to have somebody else that you trust be the trustee and have the power over that. When you move assets into an irrevocable trust, it doesn't mean that money can't benefit you. It just technically doesn't belong to you for estate tax and other purposes. So we have health concerns that irrevocable trust money can be used for, education, the maintenance of your life and your support, or HEMS for short, health, education, maintenance, and support. It's a fantastic tool. It's especially useful in tax planning. And I would say, although it takes a little bit more time and thought and planning, it is well worth it to consider the possibility of an irrevocable trust if your situation is a little bit more complex.
So you need to be careful with what you choose there.
Oh, absolutely. This is not a do-it-yourself game. But the good news is we can accomplish all this for you and more at no cost to you, saving you potentially thousands of dollars by working together with Lord & Richards.
That's a big deal. And I hope that, the listeners and the viewers take advantage of contacting us during the breaks when we have that opportunity, because that is very important. I think the other thing to ask you a question on before we go is, how important is it and when is it that you may bring in, family members into the fold of saying, hey, here's my wishes, here's the things that's going on? Is that better to do it early, or is that something that a lot of people leave to the last minute?
Well, both are true. It's better to do it early, and a lot of people, unfortunately, I keep using that word, but we're talking about estate planning. Leave it to the last minute. One of the things I love that you do actually within our firm, Dylan, is you're part of getting our clients together a lot, and we teach and we instruct, but we do that in a fun way. Our clients get to see and do some amazing things nearby that they a lot of times have never been exposed to. But at those events, we'll usually have at least one per year where we invite our clients to bring their children in and have a conversation at a neutral location about the importance of planning. But then we really encourage our clients to periodically bring those beneficiaries, those children, into the picture as early as possible so that they understand what you have developed and worked so hard together with us to achieve, so that their life will be simpler when they pass on.
Yeah, so just to conclude, at any given time, someone can come to Lord & Richards and talk about their estate plan and get not just financial advice on their investments, but also clarity on where their estate plan is going to go towards their end of life.
100%. It's important, no matter who you're working with, that service is available to you.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Colin. And we hope you have all enjoyed this time with us on the Lord and Richards Show. We've spent a lot of time here talking about estate planning, and we hope that you're able to see that it is vitally important. Don't be part of that 80% that is not taking care of things while you're still living and leaving it to your heirs to have to navigate through. I'm Dylan Schoonover. This is Colin Richards, our CEO and founder, and we'll see you next time on the Lord and Richards Show.
Just pick up the phone and give us a call at 720-372-0400. That's 720-372-0400 for your complimentary retirement freedom review. Or check us out online at lordandrichards.com.
Take the first step toward securing your financial future. Request an appointment today. Whether you're planning for retirement, managing your wealth, or optimizing your business finances, we're ready to help you achieve your goals. Visit us online at lordandrichards.com for your complimentary retirement freedom review. Investment advisory services offered through Lord and Richards Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor.